In a dim, unsettling room, a camera runs steadily. Jay sobs, blood dripping down his face, a metal collar locked around his neck. The host's voice echoes through the darkness, congratulating him for winning. Jay had been assured he could go home once the game ended, but the host announces that one final round remains. 3 boxes rise into view, and Jay is told to pick one. He tugs a string attached to one of them, revealing a shotgun. The host thanks him for participating, then yanks another string that drags a toy mechanism forward, triggering the gun and killing Jay instantly. Meanwhile, 4 friends pull up to a lakeside summer house. It once belonged to James's uncle, who ended his life after losing everything when his wife destroyed his finances. The group plans to celebrate Anita's birthday, spending the day relaxing and having fun. When night falls, James suggests playing Truth or Dare. Anita immediately distrusts his prompts and opts out. Melissa asks for a dare instead, and James dares her to kiss Anita. Melissa shuts him down, saying she won't let him turn her into some kind of spectacle. James insists that it's his house, so he should be allowed to call the shots. Anita shrugs and says she doesn't mind, so the 2 girls share a brief kiss. James then leans in to kiss Melissa too, but she forcefully pushes him away. Irritated, James starts complaining about how uncooperative everyone is. A sudden noise outside cuts the tension. Matthew brushes it off at first, but more sounds follow, growing louder. The group freezes, staring toward the back door, until James uses the moment to jump scare them. Anita suggests calling the police, but James grabs a fireplace poker and heads out to check. The others mess with him by turning off the lights, forcing him to use his phone as a flashlight. A scream erupts, only Melissa popping out to spook him, but James finds something in the bushes, an old camera with a tape inside. He carries it back to the living room, unsettling everyone. Matthew insists the whole thing feels wrong, and Anita says bringing it inside was a terrible idea. When James reminds her the house belongs to him, Anita fires back that nobody actually likes him. They hang around because of his money. She destroys the tape right in front of him. James explodes, ordering everyone to leave and even mocking Anita's seriously ill mother. The friends retreat to their rooms, unsure what to do. While the house sleeps, a silent intruder slips inside. James is showering when the bathroom door creaks open. Grabbing his razor, he prepares to defend himself, only for Melissa to appear again. She flirts just long enough for him to expose himself under the towel, then bursts into laughter, revealing it was another prank. Downstairs, Matthew starts cleaning up the mess in the living room, unaware of a shadowy figure watching from the next room. He notices a small red recording light glowing on the strange camera. When he spins around, the shadow is gone. He heads upstairs after taking out the trash, only to find Anita unconscious. Melissa is out too. Matthew calls for James, but before he can act, the intruder jabs him with a needle from behind. He stumbles downstairs looking for James, sees no one, races outside, and collapses. Later, all 4 friends awaken, chained to a wall. A camera points directly at them. Their captor whistles as he rearranges props, then steps out. James strains against his chains, but nothing budges. In another room, their masked kidnapper watches them through a bank of security screens while getting changed. He eventually returns, revealing himself as Barry, the same masked host from Jay's game. He presses a button, pulling their chains tighter, and starts a countdown before flipping on bright lights. A row of eerie mannequins stands before them, acting as an artificial audience. Pre-recorded applause and music blare through speakers as Barry theatrically introduces his new contestants. Anita is horrified when he lists personal details about them. Barry instructs them to play rock, paper, scissors, but their confusion irritates him. He abruptly calls for a commercial break and hurries back to his dressing room. While searching a drawer, he grabs a pair of shears and accidentally cuts himself. James insists the whole setup is some twisted reality show, but Anita argues that real shows don't drug people. James claims someone must have staged all of this, and Anita reminds him he's the only one wealthy enough to pull it off. After bandaging himself, Barry returns with the shears and orders the group forward. He forces them to play rock, paper, scissors again. Their mixed results frustrate him, so he decides the women will go first. He challenges Anita directly. If she beats him, she gets a prize. She picks paper. Barry forms a gun shape with his hand, calling it shoot, then admits that doesn't count. He lets her choose her prize, scissors or shoot, and she selects shoot. Since Melissa chose paper earlier, Barry pries her mouth open and slices the corners with a card. Matthew had chosen rock, so Barry smashes a real rock into his head. James loses a finger as Barry snips it off with the shears. Finally, Barry points a gun at Anita and fires, but only a burst of flame shoots out. Instead, he jerks her chain backward, slamming her into the wall and knocking her unconscious. Hours later, Anita wakes up to the sound of the group arguing. James is blaming everyone but himself, as usual. Barry strolls back in, revealing a massive wheel of pain mounted on the wall. The friends beg for mercy, so Barry offers a bonus round. Confess the worst thing you've ever done, and he'll let you live, or die quickly. James goes first. He refuses to talk, so Barry smacks him in the groin with a cane until he breaks. James finally admits he once crashed his car, and his father took the fall for him. The other driver died because James never called for help. Barry presses harder until James reveals the victim's name, Ashley. Barry shifts his cane toward Anita's throat, forcing her to confess. She finally breaks, revealing that she once created an adult website to cover the cost of her mother's medical operation, something she deeply regrets. Matthew goes next. He admits he runs online scams and has snooped through everything his friends have ever done online. He once tricked an elderly couple into handing over their personal information, but the money he expected never arrived because he accidentally sent it into a blockchain wallet he couldn't access. Melissa finally shares her secret. The dog shelters she volunteers at are always underfunded, so she sold a few pit bulls to an illegal dogfighting ring. She justifies it by saying the animals would have been euthanized anyway. Barry then orders Melissa to spin the wheel. When it stops, he hands her an old toy viewfinder. She must flip through the slides and identify 3 major cities to win. She correctly names Paris, but as she moves to the next slide, a pointed needle mounted beside her starts inching closer. The same thing happens when she guesses New York. She fails the 3rd image, and Barry announces she must be punished. The group pleads for mercy, convincing him to let her try one more time. Melissa presses the viewfinder button, and the needle shoots straight into her eye. The group panics. No one will spin the wheel now, so Barry spins it on James's behalf. It lands on Barry's favorite option. He grabs a power drill and explains he's supposed to chase James around the room with it, but he's tired of James's non-stop talking, so he flips a coin. James wins. Instead, Barry shoves the drill into Anita's hand and orders her to drill into Matthew's ear. If she doesn't comply, he'll use the drill on Melissa and James instead. As the countdown ticks away, Anita caves and presses the drill into Matthew's ear, leaving him screaming in agony. When she drops the drill, it breaks. Barry erupts, shouting that she violated the rules. He yanks the tape from the camera and returns to his dressing room. There, he slaps a piece of tape on the cassette, writes Matthew's name on it, and adds it to a growing pile of labeled tapes. Moments later, Barry returns and announces a new type of challenge. A screen lights up with the title, Wildcard. He explains the rules: a single survey question, 4 answers, and whoever scores the best wins. Barry's question is, which body part aches the most? He claims he surveyed 100 people. Matthew guesses head. Melissa says knees. Anita chooses stomach. James attempts to lunge at Barry, but the chain yanks him back, sending him falling to the floor. Annoyed, Barry blurts out his own answer, neck, saying they're all a pain in his. He pulls out slips of paper with the official results. First place, head. Second, muscles. Third, neck. Fourth, feet. Matthew notes that the numbers don't add up to 100, and Barry eventually finds one last slip, stomach, which ranks even higher than muscles. That means Melissa scored the lowest. Barry reels in the chains and activates a hydraulic press suspended above Melissa. The machine lowers until the metal plate nudges the top of her head, then Barry halts it. He offers a, quote, bonus round, giving the others a chance to switch places with Melissa. None of them volunteer. Melissa begs for her life. Barry restarts the press, and it crushes her skull. Once she's dead, Barry removes the tape from the camera and returns to unhook her body. The lights flicker as he drags her corpse away, laughing, leaving a thick line of blood in his wake. In his dressing room, he removes his mask and uses a blade to carve his cheeks in the same way he mutilated Melissa's mouth. Old scars show he's done this ritual many times before. Back in the holding room, James continues tugging on his chain when he hears something strange but can't place it. Barry enters again, this time carrying a television. He plays a recording of Rebecca strapped to a chair, being tortured. Barry sits directly in front of Anita and lifts his mask. She apologizes, trembling, before he lowers it again. The video ends with Barry killing Rebecca using a chainsaw. After Barry leaves, James mentions that he looked oddly familiar. Anita believes Matthew figured out she lied about the adult site. Matthew admits he already knew. He then reveals to James that Anita used to work on the Barry Miller Show. James immediately blames her for everything and demands answers. So Anita finally explains. Barry Miller was once a wildly popular game show host. She worked behind the scenes, part of his production team. One day, the crew saw a news report announcing that a well-known talk show host had been cleared of harassment charges because the accusers mysteriously withdrew their statements. Rebecca was sickened by it, and Anita wondered aloud if the man might have been innocent. Jake pointed out that one of the accusers had just bought a new car, suggesting they'd all been paid hush money. Rebecca said TV networks fire aging predators to protect their reputation, and she'd heard rumors that Barry was one of them. Rebecca explained that if anyone ever managed to expose Barry, the payout would be huge, enough to cover Anita's mother's operation. Anita admitted Barry once put his hands on her, and when she refused to entertain his advances, she was conveniently passed over for a promotion. Jake insisted she was making it up. Their argument ended abruptly when Barry himself approached their table carrying a birthday cake for Anita, forcing the entire crew to sing for her. When he placed his hands on Anita's shoulders, Rebecca snapped and demanded he stop touching women. women, turning the celebration painfully awkward. Later, Rebecca and Jake persuaded Anita to report Barry to HR. The company's response was fast. They offered her a large payout in exchange for signing an NDA and quietly leaving her job. Back in the present, Barry returns. James tries to save himself by saying that Anita alone deserves punishment, and even offers Barry access to his family's wealth and influential connections. Barry pretends to be thrilled, claiming he'll send James's head back to Daddy. Then he drags out the severed head of the company lawyer and forces Anita to eat the man's tongue. During the chaos, James keeps yanking on his chain until he finally rips it free from the wall. He suddenly lunges at Barry and knocks him over, swinging the chain like a weapon. Barry, however, hits a hidden switch that activates an electric charge in all the chains, shocking the 3 surviving players until they pass out. The boys awaken strapped to operating tables, each bearing a fresh surgical scar across their abdomen. Barry announces their new challenge, Incision Decision, and tosses a blade onto the floor near Anita before sprinting back to his dressing room. His voice echoes over the speakers. 2 keys have been surgically implanted, one inside Matthew, one inside James. They only need 1 key to unlock the exit. Anita refuses, but Barry warns he'll leave all 3 to starve. James tries bribing her, begging her not to choose him. Anita approaches Matthew at first, then abruptly turns and cuts into James instead. His body trembles as she digs through the wound and eventually retrieves the key. James dies on the table. Anita hurries to the door but can't open it. Barry's laughter fills the room as he explains that the door is sealed magnetically. He then reveals the final condition. Only 1 survivor is allowed. He frees Matthew, leaving him to face Anita with the blade. Matthew gently kisses her cheek and tells her he loves her, insisting she must be the one to make it out. Then, without hesitation, he uses the blade on himself. Barry congratulates Anita on winning, before filling the room with knockout gas. When Anita regains consciousness, the bodies are gone, and the door now stands open. She wanders into Barry's dressing room, finding shelves filled with tapes of his previous victims. She pockets a keycard, then heads to the bathroom to wash away the blood. In a nearby bedroom, she finds a photo of Barry with his wife and unsettling sketches covering the walls. Following the hallway, she discovers Barry waiting in another room with one last game. Terrified, she sits before 3 boxes and jumps when he triggers a confetti popper. She taunts him, wondering if this pathetic routine is all he amounts to. Barry replies that Barry is dead because Anita killed his persona. She offers to publicly admit she lied, but Barry doesn't budge, making her question if he was guilty after all. Barry suddenly lashes out, screaming about everything she has done, then orders her to choose a box. If she refuses, he claims he'll kill her mother. Anita finally pulls a string, opening a box containing a cake. As Barry begins singing Happy Birthday, Anita whips out the keycard and slashes his face before bolting for the exit. She reaches the outside, nearly free, until Barry activates the taser in her chain and drops her to the ground. He drags her back inside, explaining that each scar on his face represents a life he has taken, meaning Anita has already earned one of her own. He shoves her face into the cake, holding her down for several seconds. When she looks up, she's shocked to find nothing hidden inside. Barry calmly tells her she's free to leave, and remarks that the cake tastes awful. Moments later, Anita's face begins to burn. Her eyes turn red, her vision disappears, and she screams in agony. She staggers down the hallway but collapses, convulsing violently until she dies. Barry sits beside her lifeless body, humming his show's theme for the camera. A final tape reveals Barry torturing the disgraced talk show host until the man admits he truly did assault those women, and that the company paid them off. Barry ends the confession by smashing the host's skull with a hammer. That was today's movie story. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to our channel and join us for the next one.